Right. So I was trying to explain to you that whenever we have the graph of a trigonometric function, it is just like the normal, or whenever we are asked to plot the graph of a trigonometric function, it's just like the normal uh, quadratic curve that will be plotting, or the normal quadratic graph.
Okay.
Okay. With the normal quadratic graph, we are given a function that is dependent on x, and we are given the intervals of x that we are to fix in to get the respective y value. All right, so when we come to the trigonometric graph, it's the same thing. We are still given a function, but only that instead of just having x and y in the function, we are going to have a y function that has the trigonometric ratios that are dependent on x. And in the same way, we'll be giving the x intervals. For example, they will tell us that where x are multiples of 3, or they will give us, oh, x is 3, 60, 30, 60, 90, 120, and so on and so forth, degrees. Okay? So all we need to
Okay.
do is that we will construct a table. And after constructing the table, when we get to each of the x values, we fix them wherever we see x. That one we are even using calculator. We fix them wherever we
Okay.
see x. Then we, how will I say it? We fix them wherever we see x to get their respective y values. When we finish, we plot the graph using the given scale. And then after doing everything, we connect the dots, and then that becomes our graph. And they will ask questions under it, just like the way they ask uh, questions under the quadratic curve. Have you done quadratic graph in school already?
No, I did it myself.
Great, great, great. That's okay. That's okay. And since, okay, we are not doing commerce, like I wanted to say, since you didn't ask me any question about it, it means that you are okay with it, right?
Uh,
Okay, fine. So I'm quite sure that after we finish this lesson, even if you have it will enlighten you more. It will give you a little more idea if there's anything you need to know. It will help you get it. Are you okay?
okay.
So that is just all. Let's take an example of it and see how it goes. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have using a scale. That is A. We have question A and B. So question A, using a scale of 2 centimeters to 20 degrees on the x-axis.
Sir, please come again.
Using a scale of 2 centimeters to 20 degrees on the x-axis.
Using a scale of 2 centimeters
Yes, to 20 degrees.
on the x-axis.
Yeah. And 2 centimeters to 0.5 units.
0.5 units
Yes. On the y-axis.
Okay.
Draw the graph of 3 sine x, I'm writing that on the board, plus 2 cos x, 4. Okay. I'm not asking you to do, we'll do it together. So because I haven't taught you graph before, I will tell you some of the basic things you need to know about graph. Okay? No, I'm
Okay.
sure you know most of them already. So this is it. For example, here, you know, as an elective math student, you know you can let f of x be equal to y, right?
Yes.
Yes, the dependent function or the dependent variable. So that means that y will be equal to 3 sine x plus 2 cos x. Okay?
Okay.
So that is how our new function comes to look like, or equation. Good. Then, the scales are using a scale of 2 centimeters to 20 units. So anytime, mostly, so far, mostly at our level, anytime we are asked to draw a graph, the preamble is almost always using a scale of 2 centimeters. Okay? It
Okay.
has almost always been so. So whenever the scale is stated that way, 2 centimeters is when you take your graph, the big boxes in your graph, each of them is 2 centimeters wide. If you have a ruler there, you can measure and see. So anytime they tell you using a scale of 2 centimeters, you first of all go to your graph and mark. By then you've drawn your x and y axis already. You go to your graph and mark the 2 centimeter line. So meaning that you have your x and your y axis. You mark the ends of the big box like this. Okay. So your marking will not include the middle of the box because that will be 1 centimeter. So if only the scale says 2 centimeters, just by the fact that they said 2 centimeters, you have to mark the 2 centimeters down. Then to whatever is giving you, that becomes the interval. So if they said 2 centimeters to 2 units, it means that you know 0 is here. So it means that from 0 you go to 2, 4, 6, and then negative of 0 you have -2, -4, -6, and so on. So if they say the scale is 2 centimeters to 2 units, it means that from 0 you are going to be moving in the intervals of 2. Okay? If they say the scale is 2 centimeters to 1 unit, the marking is still the same marking because it is still 2 centimeters. But then now the numbering will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on because it is 2 centimeters to 1 unit. Then again, if it is 2 centimeters to 5 units, the same 2 centimeter marking, so it's still the big boxes. That's why I said almost always the scale is 2 centimeters at our level here. So it means that we will almost always be marking the bigger boxes. Are you okay? But then if it is to 5 units, then it means that from 0 we move to 5, multiples of 5. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and so on. Good. So we are using the same application here. It doesn't change. They still set 2 centimeters to 20 units on the x-axis. So that means on our x-axis, we mark the 2 centimeters on our graph, the big boxes, the thick line. But then because they said it's to 20 degrees, okay, here the unit has been given us, so we will not use the word unit, 20 degrees, okay. So we have to we have to, from 0, we go where? 20, 40. And the scale also says intervals of 20. Intervals of 20. So we are going to have 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, and so on and so forth. Okay, and if we have any negative, we are going to complete the table. So if we complete the table, or when we complete the table where we have any negative, even we have to complete the table first before drawing what we have done. But because we are making general explanation, that's why. Because complete the table will tell you whether your y or x, and your y axis should shift to the left or to shift to the right or to be at the center. Because if there are more negative than positive, then mean that you should shift your y axis to the right. If there are more positive than negative, you should shift it to the left. If equally, by the scale you are giving, if you put it in the middle, you can have both positive and negative values, then it can be in the middle. Or if there's no negative at all, then you can even move your y-axis to the far left here, because there's no negative number. So you just need your 0 and positive to the right, that is all. So it is very important for us to complete the table, know the values involved, and then we know how to fix it. Are you okay?
Okay.
And the same thing I said for the x-axis applies to the y. If you know your y value, if there are more y values more negative y values than positive y value, it means that you have to shift the x-axis to the top so that you can have more negative numbers under. Or you shift it downwards, okay? Sorry, you shift it downwards so that you can have more positive numbers at the top. Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
I hope I've been able to add something new to what you know already, or not
Yes,
yet.
sir.
Okay.
You added.
So let's go on. So that is that with the skill part. That is that with the skill part. Then let me see the question more. Just a minute. So now then we move on to, they say using the graph of 2 centimeters. So we come to the y-axis. I think I've just explained for both of them already. So the y-axis from 0, you move to 0 0.5, 1.0, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, and so on. Because I'm using 0.0 because it's to one decimal place. Hold on. So on the y-axis, it's same. It's same, 0.5. I mean that from 0, you go to 0.5, 1.52, and so on and so forth. And I said I use 1.0 because the 0.5 is to one decimal place. So I decided to put even the whole numbers to one decimal place. That's why I have the 0.0. Are you okay?
Yes,
Then
sir.
that is what happens on the y-axis. Then they said we should draw the graph of. So draw the graph of, meaning that we are going to, like I said, so we have the intervals on the x and we have 20 degrees, 40 degrees, 60. So it means that we'll draw the table. I have the table in my Excel sheet, but I want to explain it more here before we go to the Excel sheet. So we are going to draw our table like this. Then you have your x here. You have your y here. So when you have your x, the intervals are 20. So you put your 20 here. No, let me speak about the intervals in full. Good. So the intervals are 20 and they said for 0 degrees less or equal to, no, here is supposed to be x because we are not using theta in this question. We're using x. So 0 degrees less or equal to x less or equal to 180. Okay. So that means that our x value, these intervals here, means that our x values should start from 0 and end at 180. You see that time you see some topics and you have for both x and y. So the one that you have for x and y, you have x in the middle. So here you have x in the middle, it means that the x value should begin from 0 and end at 180. If you have y here, it means that the y value should begin from 0 and end at 180. So that means that from this our table, 0 is going to be our first number and not 20. You get that? Because they gave us the intervals. So you are going to have 0 here. Then we are going to have 20. We just follow the intervals given. 40. 60. 80. 100. 120. 140. 160. And 180. So immediately we do this, we have satisfied this condition here given in the interval. We have satisfied it. Are you okay?
Okay.
All right. Then after doing that, you will now pick, when you pick your calculator, you put 20 here for 0. You put 0 here, you put 0 here, you press equal to. Whatever answer you get, you write it here. Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. So when you pick here, when you get to 20, you put 20 here, you put 20 here, you press equal to. Whatever you get, you put it here until you complete. Good.
So 3 sine 0 plus 2 cos 0, I had 2.
You have 2. So depending on how many decimal places you want to do. So you can, because some of them will be decimals. So maybe we can try 2 decimal places. So that means you are going to have 2.00 because you are doing it to 2 decimal places. Okay.
And the second one, 3 sine 20 plus 2 cos 20. I had 2.91, two
All right.
decimal places.
Good. Good. So let's go ahead. Let's continue.
Okay, so the next one, which is 3 sine 40 plus 2 cos 40. I had 3.46. And then 3 sine 60 plus 2 cos 60. I had 3.60. 3.60. And then 3 sine 80 plus 2 cos 80. I had 3.30. And then 3 sine 100 plus 2 cos 100. I had 2.61.
Go ahead.
And then 3 sine 120. Is it 120?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
3 sine 120 plus 2 cos 120. I had 1.60. 1.60. And then 3 sine 140 plus 2 cos 140. I had 0.40. And then 3 sine 160 plus 2 cos 160. I had negative 0.85. 85. And then 3 sine 180 plus 2 cos 180. I had negative 2. Negative 2.00.
Good. All right. So now that we finished, now we've seen that I think the highest value for y Well, here the lowest value for x is 0 and the highest value for x is 180. So no negative x, meaning that we can move this one to the left if the need. Yeah, by all means, we need to move it to the left because we are more positive. We can move the y-axis to the left. You understand?
Yes.
Because there is no negative, we can move it into this place. Then when we come to the y-axis, I think the highest value we have here is 3.60, right?
Yes.
And the lowest is negative 2.00. So now we can decide to bring this one down small. So that is what we have now. Now let me go on to my graph. Great. I hope my graph is showing.
Yes, sir.
Good. So after constructing, this is what I have. This is what I have. But you are going to get more detail because you have the small division. Let me see. So this is what I'm expecting your graph to look like. If we start from,
Sir,
yes, sir.
please, are you to use freehand?
Yes, it's a curve. So you cannot use ruler. It's not a straight line, it's a curve. So you are going to plot.
But
Uh-huh.
is it necessary for your curve to be that accurate? Like,
Yeah, so I don't know what you mean by accurate, but yes, it will just be, so it will not be a straight line. And again, you can, you agree with me that this, my curve here was not drawn with a free hand. You understand? So it may look more accurate. But then, if you have a, a free hand one, just like we do for the quadratic curves, you are going to, depending on how good you can join 2 points or how well you can join 2 points, that is how your curve. So it's not going to be straight as a straight line. But your curve, the only thing I would say, what I tell my students most of the time is that your curve should be as smooth as possible. Your curve should be smooth. It shouldn't be crooked. You shouldn't, because it's a curve, you don't necessarily have to be bending lines to get the curve. All you need to do is to join 2 points at a time. Join 2 points at a time. Join 2 points at a time. And give me the intervals. After joining the point, by the time you finish, you will get the smooth curve or the curve as smooth as you want it. Or you hold your breath, you start from the very first curve or the last one, depending on the direction you can easily draw to. You make sure you don't talk to anybody, you don't do anything. You start and you move it through the points until you get to the last one. So it is not supposed to be straight as a straight line that they use ruler to draw. But when you look at it from afar, it should be a smooth curve. The curve should be as smooth as possible. Have I
okay.
answered you?
Yes, sir.
Good. So this is what we do for uh, quadratic, no, sorry, a trigonometric curve. This is all we do. Any question?
No question, sir.
Okay. Then we can go back to the, so at the end of the day, when you plot your graph, I hope you will get this. You will get this at the end of the day. So let's go to the questions under now. Or do you want me to wait for you to draw the graph?
Okay, let's move on. When I'm done, I'll do it and take a picture of it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we go back to our board. Good. Now we have to find I 3 sine x plus 2 cos x plus 1 equals 0. Yes, whatever, mostly, in most cases, the questions that are asked under the graph, whether quadratic graph or trigonometric graph, the questions that are asked under it require you to compare the questions, the equations you are given, to compare them to the original function. Okay, if you compare them and they are the same, then whatever that equation is equal to, we say y is equal to that. But if they are not the same, then whatever you need to do to what you have, the equation you have been given to get it look like y, that becomes your answer. So that is what we are going to do right now. All right. So the question one is asking us to, or I, question I is asking us to find the true set of 3 sine x plus 2 cos x plus 1. So like I said, we are trying to do it like, to make it look like y. Okay, so there are two
Okay.
ways we can do this depending on who is teaching you and the way he explains it. So the first and very common one, or one we think, some of us think is quite easy, is you rewrite this under this and subtract it from the original function. So first of all, you know that this will be 3 sine x 3 sine x plus 2 cos x will be equal to -1, right? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Good. So now we are going to compare. We are just going to compare. So some people would like to write it like this: -1 equals to 3 sine x plus 2 cos x. Okay? And by comparing, this one will be the same. The two of them will be the same only if y is equal to -1. Is that not so?
Yes, sir.
So by solution, that is what we get for our answer. By solution, that is what we get for our answer. So we go back and then we go and trace y equal to -1 from the graph. We go and trace y equal to -1 from our graph, meaning that, let me just go back to the graph again. Now this is what you are going to do. You are going to use your ruler. You are going to put your ruler on 1 on the, because y is equal to -1. Your ruler on -1 on the y-axis here. Okay. After putting your ruler, you draw a horizontal line straight to come and cut the curve. Are you with me? And when that
Yeah.
line cuts the curve, you trace it to the x-axis. This one will cut here. So you trace it to the x-axis, and whatever answer you get becomes your solution set, or the true set. Okay? So from this graph, when you finish and you sketch, you are going to have, let me go back to my board. You are going to have, so from the graph, x will be equal to 162 degrees when y is equal to -1. Okay? So they said we should write it to the true set. So that would be true set would be x is such that x equals 162 degrees. So that is how we go about the very first one. Anna, any question?
No question, sir.
All right. Then we go to the second one. So I think the second one will help our understanding a little more because it is not just straightforward like the way this one is. But we are still going to compare. So the second one gives us,
You get 2 is equal to 6 sine x plus 4 cos x.
okay. Say that again, 2 is equal to, yes. So we are going to get 2 is equal to, so you want to write it this way already. Let me write it under. So 2 equals what? 6 sine x plus 4 cos x, right?
Yes.
Do you have anything else to say about it? We are comparing.
Okay.
Any idea?
Okay, please, I'm coming.
Okay. I thought you would just tell me. So you do it then. Or you want to do it first to see whether it will work first.
Yes.
Okay, fine. That's okay. That's okay.
Sir, please, let's continue.
Okay. So looking at it, when you compare, you see that they don't look the same. You want them to look the same so that you can put y. You want
Huh?
them to look the
You
same.
want y?
Yes.
Okay, so you can
So that
use
when you subtract, it
let's
will be
say
left with only y.
elimination or
Not really. You don't need to go that far. You want to compare. So you just divide
okay.
2 by 2. You see that when we divide this 2 by 2, we'll have here, especially here, to look like here.
Yeah.
You get that? So that's what
Yes.
I was trying to explain at the beginning, that you try to do anything you need to do so that for the function you are giving or the equation you are giving to look like your y, so that you can put y in each place.
Okay.
So when you divide 2, when you divide 2 by 2, you are going to have 1 equals 3 sine x plus 2 cos x, which is the same as our y. So when we
Yes.
compare, this and this are equal, this and this are also equal. So if we say the two of them are the same, then mean that y should be equal to 1 before they can be equal. You get that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is what happened. Then we go and do the same thing. We go back to the graph. We go and locate positive y. So let me just go back to the graph quickly again. So you go, this is positive y. So you put your ruler here, you draw a straight line to come and cut the curve. And when the straight line cut the curve, you are giving y. So you just want to find the y's corresponding x value. So you join here up to here. So when you go and trace it, you are supposed to get 130 degrees. So again, from the graph, from the graph, x will be equal to 130 degrees when y equals 1. So then again, they say we should find a true set. So you always have to conclude what? Cx. X is like that. X is equals to 130 degrees. So let me state this quickly before we move on to the next example or something. So you this is a freehand sketch, you agree?
Yes.
So depending on how smooth your curve is, your values might not be exactly mine. Okay?
Okay.
But the difference shouldn't be much. Maybe you should have one between 128 and 132, 130, 128 and 132. Okay? That's what it should be. That means you are
Okay.
making allowance for differences in curves because that is a freehand sketch. So therefore, it means that you therefore it means that you when you draw your curve and you connect and you have 128, you don't necessarily have to be too hard on yourself. Or 132, you don't need to be too hard on yourself because it all depends on how smooth your curve is. Okay?
Okay.
And for this one, you'll be
Okay.
worried because I've given you an answer. But let's assume that you don't know any answer anywhere. You just have to trust your curve that you really done the right curve. And then whatever answer you get
Okay.
becomes what you want. Let me close this bracket well. So that is it about the graph of trigonometric function. Do you have any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay, then we'll take one last example. Then I think we'll put this one to rest. We go to something else. Okay. Copy and complete the table below for the function. That means that here they have even simplified it for you. The first one we did, you have to draw your own table. But this one, they have simplified it for you. And before we even draw the table, let me quickly address some issue that confuses students at times. That is a table. You see, when you are reading some of the books, instead of them giving you just X and Y, they give you each of the terms in the function in the table before they give you Y, and I don't know if you remember, you've seen something like that.
Yes, I'm seeing some right now.
Right. So don't be confused. Don't be confused by that. So let me just use the first example for that again before we go to the next, because the next example doesn't have it like that. So if I want to do that, it is going to, okay, let me use the next example for that. So I will change the question that using a scale of, so I'm changing the question. I'm bringing my own question so that it will give us the opportunity to use that to
Okay.
explain. So using a scale of 2 centimeters to 30 degrees on the x-axis, using a scale of 2 centimeters to 30 degrees on the x-axis, and 2 centimeters to 1 unit on the y-axis.
Okay.
You there? Draw the graph of f of x Draw the graph of f of x equals okay, let me even they even use y, so let me just use y instead of f of x so that we cut one step short. Y equals sine x.
Yes.
Okay, sine x plus 2 cos x. So because of that, I'll come back and change the intervals to 20 instead of 30. Using a scale of 2 centimeters to 20 degrees on the x-axis, no more 30 because I've changed the curve.
Okay.
Is there? So 20 using a scale of 20 degrees on the x-axis and 1 unit on the y-axis, draw the graph of y equal to sine x plus 2 cos x. You have that, right?
Yes, sir.
For which for which 0 degrees less or equal to x less or equal to 180 degrees at intervals of 20. At intervals of 20 degrees. That is all the question. So here we are not answering questions under. That is just the question. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So here, like I said, you are going to, I'm just going to concentrate on the table. Then you will draw the curve and show it to me. We are going to have our x. Then after x, we are going to have sine x.
Okay.
Under sine x, we are going to have 2 cos x. Then now that we have sine x and 2 cos x to give us our y, we will now have our y under. I'm doing this because at times you can go for the exam and maybe they change the table and you just get confused because you don't know what they are doing. That's why I'm sure when you ask us to do this, I was just thinking that probably this type of table could be one of the competitions we have. So you have your 0 degrees because of the intervals given here. You have your 0 degrees. The
Okay.
truth about the whole table is that this is still the most important part of the table here and then here is what is going on our graph. That is what is important to us. Okay,
Okay.
that's what is important to us. But just this is more or less like a breakdown of that. Instead of just punching it onto your calculator and pressing equal to like we did for the first one, here you are going to calculate for sine 0 first. What do you have for sine 0?
Um, 0.
So 0. 2 cos 0. Yes.
2.
When you finish, you add the two of them.
Okay.
You see? So always
Okay.
you add. You add. But what will happen is that if there is negative here,
Then you are supposed to subtract.
no, you still add. But it means that you put your negative here before doing. You
Okay.
understand?
Yes.
So you are picking them term by term, and you know that in algebra every term is taken with the sign before it.
Okay.
So that when you finish, you always add your answers.
Add.
Yes.
Okay.
So here I'm saying that because when I just tell you we should add, you'll be thinking that because of this plot, that's why we are adding. So with here, You add the two of them. So this will give 0 plus 2 will give you 2. We go to sine 20. What do you have? Let's do it to two decimal places.
0.34.
0.34. Then 2 cos 20.
1.88.
So 1.88. When you finish, you add them, you get 2 point something. Add the two of them.
2.22.
So 2.22. Continue the rest for me.
Okay.
Continue the rest for me. Let's see. So I'll also quickly enter that into my Excel sheet and we'll see whether our graphs will look the same, okay?
Okay.
So I hope to also finish entering by the time you finish. Or I will finish because me, I will not draw a graph. The computer will draw the graph for me. So hopefully by the time you finish drawing, I'll also finish.
Sir, please, I'm done.
Have you finished with the graph too?
No,
Okay,
sir.
okay. You mention your figures and let me see your Y figures.
2.00,
Mm-hmm.
2.22,
Mm-hmm.
2.17,
Okay.
1.87,
Mm-hmm.
1.33,
Mm-hmm.
0.63.
I have 1.34 here.
Please, you said
I have 1.34 for the 80 degrees.
for the 80 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
you have 1.344.
Yes.
One,
1.34, two decimal places. But you gave me
uh,
1.33.
yeah, I
So,
had 1.33.
okay, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, then with the
Okay,
100,
wait, I'm coming. I'm coming. Let's address that. So, what did you get for sine x?
0.98.
0.98,
Yes.
not 99. Did you approximate it well?
Please, let me check. Sine 80. Yes, 0.984. So
Oh,
it's
okay,
0.
98. Mm-hmm.
And then
Then,
2 cos 80. That's 0.347. So 0.35.
okay, so you had 1.33.
Yes.
That's fine. That's fine. Just enter 1.33. Go ahead.
Okay.
After 1.33.
0.63.
Mm-hmm.
Negative 0.13.
Mm-hmm.
Negative 0.89.
Uh-huh.
Negative 1.54.
Okay.
And then negative 2.00.
Good. Let's go to the graph. All right, so Nana went off, and this video will come to an end because he will send a picture of his graph to me. But after we finish, first of all, when we complete the table, these are our table is supposed to look like. When we get the various sin x and 2 cos x values, we should have these numbers. We should have these numbers as our respective y values. Then when we plot the graph, we should have a graph like this. We should have a graph like this. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm very happy you joined me, and I'm sure you learned something new today. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Subscribe and share with your friends to also subscribe. Your children and words with you in the SHS or who need mathematics or anything, you should subscribe so that every time I put a new video, you get. Thank you and have a very nice day. Bye bye.